It might be useful to just consider that we're all on a learning curve and we're all in different places at different times and we're learning different things. And the thing I find fantastic about this whole project is that different people can learn from different people, and even or even perhaps especially with the volunteers that we've had over the last couple of weeks, young guys who I've learned a lot from listening to them and trying to understand a bit more about what makes them tick and why they've come here and what sort of things they're looking for from their travels and from their adventures. So it might be just worth sort of considering where we are on a learning curve. Now, a lot of people think this learning curve is just a curve, or that way maybe, where we start at the bottom and we end at the top. But there's a learning curve called the Dunning-Kruger curve, which I think is quite an interesting one, and you can see it on this slide, where if you plot confidence against competence, then it's actually quite a squiggly line. It's a bit like one of the roads that goes through the Morvan. And the first part of it is a thing called, it's probably not a particularly appropriate phrase, but peak of Mount Stupid. So that's really where, if you take maybe me learning French, start off with a lot of confidence, but know nothing. So you get this sort of initial effect of being fairly or thinking that you're fairly high on a learning curve. But then the reality kicks in, and one realizes that actually um, I don't know any French. This is hopefully not true now, but maybe a couple of years ago. And it kicks your confidence, it knocks your confidence, and you slide right down into what they call the valley of despair. And that's not a nice place to be, because you're more competent in the valley of despair than you were 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years earlier, when you had loads of confidence but knew nothing. And I think that can be applied quite well to the way that each person approaches a different project or a different discipline. And then people climb out of the valley of despair, hopefully, onto what they call the slope of enlightenment. And that's where, as we learn more, as we become more competent, so our confidence grows, and it may be in any area that you care to think of. It may be in how you ride a motorbike, it might be how you approach growing vegetables, it might be a language. And that's a fairly linear thing. There can be steps in it, but normally you're moving up the curve. So as you become more competent, you become more confident, and then ultimately you arrive at this place called the plateau of sustainability, which I think is quite a nice description. It's probably not the right use of the word sustainability, but for us it works well, because that's where the individual has sufficient competence and capability to be confident at talking about something. And I can see that with each person that is involved in the project, where it's innate, the knowledge that resides within a person, whether it's permaculture or ceramics or whatever it may be, food. It's not a conscious thing. The level of competence there is really, really high. So that we're all on a different trajectory, I suppose. We're at different places on that learning curve, but we're all on the curve somewhere. And I think it's important to remember that the progression that we make is it's in the right direction all the time. And some people are at a different point. It depends on their personality. It depends on the subject matter. But we're all on that journey. And I think the important thing to sort of take from some of these commerce related models is that the association is exactly the same. As an individual, I'm learning all the time. Hopefully, I'm out of the valley of despair. But as a group, as an organisation, that knowledge that we share, that builds the confidence and the competence of the association as we go. And it's not simply the people that are involved directly. It's the members, the adherents, the people that come into the cafe and explain some of the things that they're interested in. That adds to our capability and competence, and at the same time it builds our confidence if people come in and give us a good word about a workshop that's been run or a menu that's being served. That then helps to build our confidence. So I just wanted to sort of briefly touch on this learning curve model because I think it's quite useful to sort of remember that. So when you're having a bad day, just sort of think about where you are on the curve.